They're upset because, well, they're upset because some people are depressed. They're upset because some people are depressed. Yeah, that's upsetting. But sometimes things are just kind of based upon genetics of past historical experiences of really sick and grotesque things. You know, I'm not upset if somebody's depressed. You really have to get working on that. You have to kind of rearrange your imaginative thoughts and look at things in a different type of way. Look at things in a way that can sort of make us feel more empathy for our fellow, well, for all our collective energy on this planet. That's what we really need to start doing. Being creative, thinking, how can we solve some of these problems in a most beneficial way to the largest groups? Don't be upset because somebody's depressed. A lot of us are. That doesn't necessarily mean we're problematic. See, don't assume things without seeking proper input. See, some of it's just genetic. Because once you've done something to somebody for such a long historical period, let's say a century, well, in this case, how about multiple centuries? Or, yeah, then we're talking, well, that's genetic. And you just don't solve those kind of things overnight. They take time. They take real work. And they can take a falling back into old notions of, well, maybe that's the way it was back in the day for a reason. See, those kind of ideas can get us all into trouble. We don't want to reverse course without properly examining whether the course we were on was actually more effective. See, some people love reversing course, saying, let's turn around. I don't see anything out there. Well, you've gone so far that the rest of the crew should say, sir, if we turn around now, it'll take us light years to get back to where we were. And there's no guarantee because we don't have any navigation to ensure that we would even get back to where we were. So we should keep going forward. We should just keep trying to figure out. There's always going to be somebody on that ship that gets everybody all riled up. It says, if we turn around, there's that thought of us being home again. Because we all can remember what home is. We don't have a vision of what perfection or, tranquility would be. We don't have that vision. But we do know what home was. And if we reverse course, we can find our guiding star, as you will. Now the crew sometimes actually goes along with this kind of mythical thinking, this kind of primitive thinking, and they try to throw about a mutiny, take over the ship. Because you see, the ship naturally is set to go forward. It's pretty hard to reverse a ship. I mean, you gotta pull those sails. You gotta have a lot of people pulling at the sails. And you can have a lot of people, but you gotta make sure that everybody is on the same accord. You can't have a lot of people on the boat that are like, oh, I think this is really stupid. I think this is really crazy. Why are we doing it? Nope. You got a lot of people like that on your ship. You're not going to be able to reverse course. And see, that's where we are. It's called a crossroad for a reason. You got a lot of people think that it's the proper thing to reverse course and go back home. Go back to our more primitive ways of doing things. Not all of those primitive ways were necessarily ill-fated, they would say. And they would actually be correct. But think about this. The guidance of knowledge is much more clear to us now than it ever was back then, based on innovation. So you can't really say that based on what they had back then, they would be more correct than what we have now. You can't. You just can't. But you can say that other civilizations have been more advanced than us and have been wiped out. But you can't give us the reason why. So that argument falls on deaf ears itself. You see, there's a wing in the ship that wants to reverse course. And then there's a wing in the ship. It's like, let's keep moving forward. And then there's a third wing in the ship that's running around screaming like chickens with their head cut off. And they're like, we can't reverse course, we have to move forward. And then there's a wing in the ship that's running around with their chickens with their head cut off, saying, we must reverse course. We must reverse course, we must reverse course. And then there's a wing in the ship that doesn't have a fucking clue. Can you guess which wing is bigger? The biggest wing in the ship? Well, if you guess the wing that doesn't have a fucking clue, what the hell is going on, you'd be correct. So in order to reverse a ship, well, you gotta first have the majority. And they don't have the majority. Then you gotta get rid of all your opposition, which there's no effective way you can get rid of all your opposition. And then you have to convince the people that don't have a fucking clue, because they're the majority of the ship, what the hell's going on, to make a decision one way or the other. And there's no way on God's green earth you've ever convinced people collectively to do any one thing. So let's keep the ship moving forward, shall we?